This season, rather than madness, opening days, or taking a break, the world is frozen, silenced by quarantines, isolated by distance, and edging on panic. But while work for you may have changed, out here, we're still going strong. Our season is underway. The crops will get planted, the livestock will be fed, and your food will continue to be grown. Just like it's been for generations. There's plenty to worry about. But out here, social distancing is our specialty. American agriculture farms on, today and tomorrow, for our family and yours.
Here? That always helps. A little bit of a technical challenge as we kick off our Farm Journal Live here on a Monday morning. I'm editor Clinton Griffiths from the Farm Journal newsroom. Of course, thank you for joining us as we continue to update the latest on the coronavirus outbreak and its impacts to agriculture. We're going to get to the Coronavirus Food Assistance Program details here in just a minute, but let's begin with some market news. And stocks and commodities suffering losses against the start of the week, pulled down by crude oil prices, which are having their worst drop ever, falling more than 50% today. U.S. crude prices now at their lowest level in more than 30 years. Global surpluses building up amid stay-at-home orders that cover about half the world now. At one point, the May contract fell below that $11 a barrel mark, then down into single digits. We're joined now by Pete Meyer. He's the head of grain and oilseed analytics with S&P Global Platts. And Pete, looks like oil prices continue to just move lower.
Well, one of the issues you have, Clinton, is that this is the expiring May contract, which everybody is focused on, which is trading below $11 currently. I mean, that's going to expire tomorrow. There is an $11 contango or $10 contango. I don't know. It changes by the minute into the next month. But the problem you have is that it's all about storage. It's the same issue we have with ethanol at the moment. There just is no storage left, so the refineries are starting to shut down, given the lack of demand on the coronavirus front. So it is a storage issue, and in theory, prices could go negative. I saw that the CME has listed some negative option prices, given the cost of carry and that sort of stuff. But I don't know if it goes negative or not. But it's a big focus at the moment. Yeah.
Has it ever gone negative before? And is that seems interesting that something would trade below in the negative territory?
Well, it depends on your cost of storage, right? So you have a lot of oil that's currently on the water at the moment. The OPEC plus cuts are a step in the right direction, but these things take time. I mean, it's not as if they can turn a boat around that left 15 days ago or 30 days ago. It does take a month or so to work through the system. So, I've never seen them negative, but we have seen some negative prices for some of the specialty crude out in the western U.S. last week. I believe it was in Wyoming, and I think that's trading at $2 or something like that. So, no, I don't. We've never. The lowest I remember now is it was about $10.35 a barrel in December of '98, and the last time we were sub $10 was in April of 1986.
Oh, wow. So we're kind of stepping into some historic territory here. I know on the ethanol side, the two are tracking right with each other. It's all about consumption. Until we start driving again, this seems to be kind of where we're going to be with energy prices, huh?
Well, the issue you have with oil is actually much more than driving, Clinton. The issue you have with oil is actually jet fuel demand.
Right.
Jet fuel demand is down 75% from pre-coronavirus levels. So it's only when the world reopens for business that the oil markets will really turn around, and you get some sort of normalcy. And to be honest with you, I mean, that probably depends a lot on people's appetite to travel. It's one thing to get in your car and travel, but it's quite another thing to get on a long distance flight at the moment. So we actually think that the storage issue probably comes to the peak in May sometime. We don't even think that this is as bad as it's going to get.
All right, we'll appreciate the insights as always, Pete. Thanks so much. We'll continue to check back in as this story develops. All right, late Friday, USDA announced that $19 billion coronavirus food assistance program for farmers and ranchers. $16 billion of that will be direct payments for farmers and ranchers. $3 billion comes as purchases of agricultural products, including meat, dairy, and produce, and then provided to in-need organizations like food banks and community organizations. Breaking it down a bit further here, of the $16 billion in direct payments, $9.6 billion is for the livestock industry, $5.1 billion for cattle, $2.9 billion for dairy, $1.6 billion for hogs, and then we get into some of the other crops. $3.9 billion for row crop producers, $2.1 for specialty crop producers, and another $500 million for other crops. Now, producers will receive a single payment determined using two calculations here: price losses that occurred January 1st, April 15th of 2020. Producers will be compensated for 85% of the price loss during that period. The second part of the payment will be expected losses from April 15th through the next 2 quarters, and will cover 30% of those expected losses. The payment limit, $125,000 per commodity, with an overall limit of $250,000 per individual or entity. Qualified commodities must have experienced a 5% decrease between January and April. ProFarmer Washington correspondent Jim Wiesemeyer joining us now. And Jim, we heard all kinds of reaction to this over the weekend. Where do you think this puts us as an ag industry right now?
Drawing board in a number of areas. My sources say almost in unison, they really dropped the ball, relative to that pay cap language that you detailed. That won't go very far for efficient, larger, producers, and they're going to find out, because if there's any consensus of any criticism of this, it's on that one. Now, I want to stress that a $19 billion program is a big one, but I think USDA went lowball on it. The annual Commodity Credit Corporation borrowing authority is $30 billion. Now, Democrats refused to fully plunge to that level of $50 billion. Instead, they added only $14 billion on top of the $9 billion that was available. So the total is $23 billion. You're going to see in future months Congress restore that to at least $50 billion. Zippy Duvall, the president of Farm Bureau, was on AgriTalk earlier this morning, and he says the CCC needs $68 billion, and I probably agree. Bottom line, USDA took way too long to come up with this program, and when they did, it was a thunderous negative reaction by mainstream agriculture.
Jim, some of the challenges we're hearing, or at least the details that people want to know, is exactly what qualifies, what are the parameters here to be able to get paid? Is it a per head basis? Is it a pound basis? What are the numbers that they're going to use to make these calculations, and when do we find that out?
Well, the reason they didn't put it per head is they don't know yet.
Okay.
Because of those calendar marks that you indicated, and when you think about that, that's penalizing good marketing practices by farmers. I think they tried to target it too closely. As far as the bottom line, USDA Secretary Sonny Perdue knew that he didn't have enough funding. They should have said that over and over. And by doing that, they got into this horrible pay cap language that's significantly lower, reduced from their prior, programs. And that was probably to spread the money around. But boy, two wrongs don't make a right. And when it comes to the pay cap language, it's a major glitch.
I know one of the things that we have happening in Washington this week is they're back talking about maybe another, some sort of rescue bill here. Do we see anything else for agriculture at this time, or are we going to wait and get maybe another tranche later in the year if we can get some of this money restored?
Yeah, it won't come in this upcoming, whatever they're going to call it, 3+, or phase 4, or et cetera. I don't see anything in that one, but I'll guarantee you the facts are clearly evident, and hopefully by that time to USDA analysts as well, that additional aid is going to be needed for a host of areas. Texas A&M University just put out a report saying the impact of COVID-19 just on Texas agriculture is $6 to $8 billion. And I trust their analysis. Bottom line, again, we're going to get additional aid, much needed aid for, say, the hog sector needs more. They did nothing for ethanol. I think that'll come in later. And other aspects of this very tight working capital agriculture that we've seen right now.
Jim, I think one of the things that's interesting in this whole deal is that, it's very rare that we see all sectors of agriculture hit all at the same time. We do have cycles in this business. We know that we have ups and downs. We expect that, and, most producers try to plan for it. But, here we are with so many different corners of agriculture being hit at one time.
Well, when you see almost a shutdown of the U.S. economy, let alone the world economy, in a deep recession right now, that does impact every facet of U.S. agriculture. And we've got to get these meat processing, facilities that are now closed back open in a safety environment. Mr. Perdue didn't say much regarding that. That is a linchpin of the future direction for U.S. agriculture in 2020. We have to get those meat processing plants up and running in a safe environment that the workers won't be afraid to work at.
Well, we know we just had another processor go down just a little bit ago in Worthington, Minnesota. Looks like they're going to be closed for the foreseeable future. So this continues to impact the markets as we go forward. How soon do we expect to have more details here for folks so they can start making some decisions and plans?
Well, if he's going to have sign up relatively soon, and if Perdue, by he, I mean Secretary Perdue, and if he wants the checks to be, or the funding out there to be by the end of May, if not early June, we're going to have to, have those details. The problem, and I totally understand it, I'm not all anti-USDA on this one, they have to write the rules on this one, and that's really what they're doing right now. But let's be honest. We had a $349 billion Small Business Administration loan program, a WAPL, and that was underway in a much more expedient time than it took USDA to unveil, some, but definitely not all of the details of this package. And then we had to get some of them at 9 o'clock Eastern time on Friday evening. The rollout was horrible on this one. So when will we get more information? I think in the next few weeks, but I will tell you this, there is a big push up on Capitol Hill to get this pay cap language modified, and USDA can probably do that administratively. And I think Secretary Perdue made a mistake by not tapping in to that $14 billion CCC borrowing authority, even though he can't use it until July forward. He could have designed a program with that $14 billion involved. He made a mistake. Hopefully he'll correct it.
All right, Jim, appreciate the insight. We'll continue to follow this along as it develops. Of course, I know folks out in farm country are really interested to get all the details. We expect to see planting pick up some speed this week thanks to the return of warmer weather. Last week, USDA said 3% of corn was planted. A new report coming out today for Eastern Time. We'll have the latest on that. And don't forget to post your pictures or videos on social media by including the hashtag FarmOn this week. You can text FarmOn to 31313 as well and include the pictures and video there too. Thanks everybody for watching. Of course, we'll continue to follow this coronavirus outbreak and its impact on agriculture. You can follow along with us by going to agweb.com/coronavirus. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great day.